I need to go back a little bit first before we talk about the current music. Your love of music, where did that come from? Were your parents musicians?
No, my parents at least are as far away from being musicians as possible.
Yeah.
But according to them, I started singing before I could talk, so I just was born wanting to make music.
You're into a bit of musical theatre too. You did that when you were younger.
I did. I mean, up until probably 6, 7 years ago, that was the path. I thought, okay, I'm gonna be on Broadway, done deal. Yeah. And I might someday, but for right now, I'm really happy creating our own content and focusing on making music of our own.
Yeah, and you spent some time as a studio singer.
I did.
What kind of things do you learn from doing session after session?
Patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sang for a really interesting demographic of people. A lot of people from very different backgrounds. So I kind of had to be a shapeshifter when I was doing studio singing. One day I'd be singing country, and the next day I was singing for a hip hop artist, and the next day I was singing backup for a 12-year-old whose parents were paying for
Okay.
So there was a lot of different hats I had to wear and a lot of different roles I needed to play.
Yeah.
So I learned how to be patient. That's what I learned.
Yeah. And what sort of venues do you play around New York?
We've played a lot of different places now. We did our first
festivals.
Our first official show was almost exactly a year ago, and it was at
it was a year ago.
Yeah.
So.
kind of like an underground warehouse almost. And from that ranging to we actually produced and played a big festival in Brooklyn, and we played all around New York, and we play some of the more classic venues on the Lower East Side. We played pianos last spring. We play wherever we think that we can bring a really good crowd and have a great time, make good music.
Yeah. But what about you, Katie? How do you write your songs? Do you play a bit of guitar or piano?
I do. I play a very little bit of guitar, a very little bit of piano, but I actually I write very.
She yells at us.
Yeah.
We're supposed to.
That's not entirely true. I hear it in my head and I communicate it to the very talented people I surround myself in.
Yeah.
Is how I like to say. I write very rhythmically, I'd say. I work sometimes when I'm writing with a looping pedal so that I can actually build the song vocally as the instruments. I can build the lowest level and kind of grow upon it, and then at that point I would introduce it to the guys.
Yeah, she sings all the parts and we figure them out.
Yeah.
But and then also there's a lot of times where one of the other guys would have a song and they'd start to build it, and then maybe I'll jump in halfway through and add certain lyrics or melody. We do work together almost every song.
Yeah.
I'd say, but for me personally, it usually starts rhythmically and I build it vocally the whole time.
Yeah. And I believe you do some work as a bartender in Manhattan.
I do a lot of work as a bartender in Manhattan.
I wonder how many songs have come out of characters in the bar.
I try to keep those two things separate.
Okay.
But I think that some of my experiences there give me a reason to write. I don't necessarily write about the characters in the bar, but sometimes they make me feel a certain kind of way, and then I need to write. So they can be an impetus, but they're not usually the muse.
Yeah. I've listened to you to both of your recordings. The current one, a la carte, is very different from the previous one.
They are. And the next one will be different too. The growing's all going to sound different.
I was going to ask, with a la carte, had you found your direction? But obviously not. You're still exploring sounds.
Close. I think, the first album that I put out, which, I did that with literally no resources. I had no money. I had no access to anything. It was really bare bones. I had the songs, and that's why I was a studio singer. I was exchanging my services for studio time.
Yeah.
And they helped me produce that album, and it was actually kind of what helped me woo Johnny into my world. Yeah. I finally had something to show for myself. I could say, I'm a singer, and here's what I can do. And I think that, finding him and writing with him has really helped open me up and get me into the path that I want to go. And now that we've grown into a band, we're getting even more intricate with the way that we write our music, and we're getting closer to being able to perform the same way that we record, which is exciting and I think important.
Yeah.
So we're, it's a growth process. I don't think the next album will sound like a different band, but it'll sound like an evolution.
Yeah. A lot of the songs on a la carte, there's a lot happening in the background. the song coming up around the bend, I can hear your loop
Yeah.
sounds there, and the atmospherics on a song like King and I. Donnie, maybe, or Nadav, you can explain how you reproduce those sounds live.
Play a lot of instruments.
Yeah.
Part of our setup, we use Ableton too.
Yeah.
So it allows us, it's a little different than like a playback device because it's dynamic and you can control it. But it's almost like having other members in the band that you can conduct. So I can add parts, take parts out. But we push ourselves to do as much live as we can, and then we use Ableton to kind of fill in the spaces.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about the gear that you use. The loop pedal, is that a Roland pedal? Or?
I can kind of show you. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
No. It's the Roland VE20.
It's the VE20.
Okay.
It's a pretty basic. It's got the loop and it's got a couple different settings, effects that I can do, and it allows me to control certain parts of what I'm doing when I'm performing live. So if I don't have necessarily a sound engineer handling my reverb or handling whatever I want, I can adjust it on the pedal live, which is cool.
So Donnie, tell me about your core gear that you use on stage.
So I have a lot of core gear. I had to build a special enclosure for it.
Okay.
I have a MIDI controller. I have a launch pad that I use. I'm a big Ableton guy.
Yeah.
And then I have some really old keyboards. I have an old Yamaha keyboard, and I have a newish M Audio Vim. It's a really cool keyboard. It's got a mixer and interface built into it too. So, and then I use my iPad as well for sounds, for GarageBand sounds, and a vocoder and microphones and a little sub mixer and some more pedals.
Half of which he built, by the way.
Yeah, I built a lot of my own stuff.
Yeah.
What do you take on stage, Nadav?
I take my Fender Stratocaster, Fender Deluxe Reverb amp, and my pedal tray that has a few different pedals on it.
A few is an understatement.
That's an understatement.
So where are you at with the next recording? How many songs have you recorded, written?
It's coming up. We got a lot coming up.
You just gave him an automatic headache.
We have a week planned.
We have, so I'd say so far there's 4 songs that are going to be on the next album that are already, the groundwork is there. There's still a lot of work to be done, but the skeleton at least is done. As for the rest of the songs, they're written, and then we can perform them.
Yeah, we play them live.
We play them live, but
there's a lot.
There's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we're proud of the way that we represent them on the final album.
So what's the grand plan?
Well, after we hang up with you tonight, we are going to draft the grand plan. And I mean, it's hard. It's a funny thing. As I'm sure you know,
we just want to make music. We just want to play and have a good time. The grand plan is just to play for as many people as we can and just make everybody dance.
I mean, my next major life goal is to be able to sustain myself with just music and not have to have other side jobs to be able to pay the bills.
Yep.
And it's hard in New York, we have families, we've got responsibilities, so we do our best to spend all of our free time committed to this goal and this dream. But it is New York City, and there are rents to be paid and bellies to be fed.
Yeah.
So my next, for me, if I had a whole list of things to do in my life, the next thing I'm going to check off is my career is as a musician.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean I have to be Lady Gaga famous, but I want to be able to take care of myself and my family and my responsibilities with what I earn from making music and doing what I love.
All right, guys, it's been great to talk to you, and I wish you well with your music, and hope to see you down here one day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Nice to meet you.
Yes.